The Chase Ink Unlimited is just one of those cards that is so easy for so many people to justify adding to their setups. Not only does it have no annual fee, but it has one of the highest welcome offers out of any credit card out there on the market. It offers a respectable flat earning rate for every single one of your purchases, and it earns in a points ecosystem that is arguably the best in the game. And while I believe it's a no-brainer for my personal setup, that doesn't mean that it's for everybody. In this video, I want to cover first why I applied for this card, second, my data points after applying for it, since I covered the data points before in my Watch Me Apply video, and then lastly, I want to get into the live unboxing of this credit card while also explaining my activation process. By the end of it, I hope that you have a better understanding of whether or not this card is actually worth it for you, and also have a decent grasp on whether or not you can get approved based on my data points at the time of applying. But even if not, I hope you get at least a small dopamine hit whenever you watch me unbox this card for the first time. So why did I apply for this card? The first reason is the main reason I assume most people apply for this credit card, and that's going to be for the welcome offer. I just applied a little less than a week ago at the time we were recording this one, and that was one day before the most recent 90,000 Chase Ultimate Reward Point offer for spending $6,000 in 3 months on this card expired. I was lucky enough to lock in the exact same offer on the Chase Ink Cash at the very end of 2022, and I plan to continue the streak of at least getting one every single year as long as it makes sense for my setup. But the fact of the matter here is that 90,000 Chase Ultimate Rewards points is such an insane offer for a no annual fee card to give you. Tack on the fact that I'm somebody that's super low on Chase points right now, not only would those 90,000 points just be nice to have, but they're almost an essential at this point with how much I use Chase points personally. Also, don't forget that this card earns, again, Chase Ultimate Rewards points, and those points can be combined with the higher tier Chase cards, even on the personal side, like the Chase Sapphire Preferred, for example, in order to then transfer your points out to Chase's travel partners. Personally, I have the Chase Sapphire Reserve on the personal side, so if I was to calculate the rough return on spend percentage of these 90,000 points, this is how it would break down. First off, Chase allows you to redeem your points at 1 cent per point for cashback, giving you $900 worth of value for this welcome offer, and that comes out to a 15% return on spend. For me, in the travel portal, I'm able to get 1.5 cents per point because of my Chase Sapphire Reserve, which would yield me $1,350 worth of value, and that's a 22.5% return on spend. And then with a conservative estimate of 2 cents per point with Chase's transfer partners, which a Chase Sapphire Preferred, Reserve, or Chase Ink Preferred allow you to do, that would be a value of $1,800 and a return on spend of 30%. To get that kind of percent back on $6,000 worth of spend is something you're going to have a hard time finding even with some of the higher tier premium travel credit cards, hence why this bonus is again so awesome considering it's on a no annual fee card. The normal offer is for 75,000 points after spending $6,000 in the first 3 months of having it, which obviously still isn't bad at all, but if you're thinking about applying for this card or really any credit card on the market in general, always be sure to check my links down below to see the highest public welcome offer available, and I personally update these as much as I can in order to give you the best bonus out there. And of course, if you do choose to use those links, it directly supports my work at no additional cost to you, so it's kind of a win-win for both of us. The second reason I added this card is very straightforward, and that's because I wanted to use it as my business catch-all credit card. The Chase Ink Unlimited earns a flat 1.5% back on every single one of your purchases, and considering a lot of my spend in general these days is business spend, capturing all of that with a card that earns Chase's Ultimate Rewards points is super important to me. Yes, I do have the Amex Blue Business Plus, and that card has been really good to me, but right now I'm okay with sacrificing that 0.5x back additionally that I would have gotten on the Amex Blue Business Plus compared to the Chase Ink Unlimited because of how low I am on Chase points right now and because of the surplus that I have with Amex's points. I will still be using the Amex Blue Business Plus in the meantime though, but I plan to use the Chase Ink Unlimited as the default catch-all credit card on the business side with the Blue Business Plus as a secondary addition to that. The last main reason I added the Chase Ink Unlimited is because I'm currently tracking to complete the Chase Ink trifecta soon. Being a credit card YouTuber, I do my best to get hands-on experience with as many credit cards on the market as possible, of course as long as they at least make sense for my setup, and adding the Chase Ink Unlimited would get me 2/3 of the way to the Chase Ink trifecta, which I could then make more videos about and stuff like that, so it's a nice addition for that purpose as well. I do plan on adding the Chase Ink Preferred when I'm back under Chase's 524 rule, and have some large expenses coming up because that $8,000 worth of spend in 3 months is going to be a little bit hard for me to hit. I just hope that the offer of 100,000 points for that amount of spend is still around when I'm ready to get it compared to the same amount of points for $15,000 worth of spend in 3 months, but I guess we'll have to see about that. For those of y'all that are curious, a very quick summary of how I would use the 3 cards in the Chase Ink trifecta would be: 1, the Chase Ink Unlimited would be my catch-all credit card. Secondly, the Chase Ink Cash would really only be used for smaller subscriptions, and that's just because I can't exactly utilize the other earning categories very well, at least with my current spending habits, that is. And then third, the Chase Ink Preferred would just be my cell phone card, to be honest. I do explain my thoughts on each of these cards in a lot more detail in my Watch Me Apply for the Chase Ink Cash. I'm going to put that in the top right here and also on the end card of this video. So I'd recommend you check that one out after this one if you're interested. Since we're on the topic of building out a multi-card setup here, let me tell you all about the app that I use to track all of my credit card information across my cards that come from 5 different lenders at the time of recording. Now that of course is going to be Max Rewards. Max Rewards is an all-in-one credit card management app that allows you to track things like your total point balances, total card balances, bill due dates, and more on cards from practically any lender, all in one interface. That means no more swapping between different lenders' apps to check your point balances on each of your cards and stuff like that. Now you can do it all in just one convenient app. One really powerful tool that does apply to me adding new cards like this one to my setup is their welcome bonus tracker that, not every lender is going to give you these days. And once again, it's just nice that that information is in the same app as all of my other credit cards. That way, if I was trying to track multiple bonuses or something like that, I could see it all in one place. While the free features of Max Rewards are great, they do offer a paid subscription called Max Rewards Gold that will not only automatically activate your quarterly rotating categories for you on your cards like your Chase Freedom Flex, but will also automatically activate all of your credit card offers for you as long as they're syncing to the app. If you even just want to check out the free features of Max Rewards, please be sure to download it through the link in my description so they know that I sent you. And if you enter the promo code Spencer, that will give you a 1-month discount off of your Max Rewards Gold subscription if you ever do decide to upgrade. Thank you to Max Rewards for sponsoring this video, but let's get back into the topic at hand. Okay, so next up, we need to talk about my data points after applying. Before we get into these numbers, it's important to remember, at least if you watched my Watch Me Apply video for this card, that I applied for 2 credit cards on the same day, including this one. So the drops in my credit score, as well as the multiple hard inquiries getting added to my report, is not the sole blame of the Chase Ink Unlimited, but that other card as well. Getting into the actual numbers here, Credit Karma told me that my TransUnion score is currently a 754, which is a drop of 9 points since I checked it before I applied. I also have 4 hard inquiries with TransUnion right now, which is actually the same as before I applied, meaning that they did not access my TransUnion report in order to get me approved for this credit card. Most likely, the reason for this drop, as well as the drop we'll see with my Equifax report, is because my average age of accounts dropped whenever I got approved for this card. And I only say that because I did not actually get any hard inquiries on these 2 reports, which leads me to believe that obviously something else was the reason that it was impacted negatively. Moving over to Equifax, my current credit score with them, according to Credit Karma once again, is 760, which was another drop of 9 points. I only have 1 hard inquiry with Equifax right now, which was the same as before I applied. So again, another factor had to be impacted for my score to drop. With Experian though, my credit score dropped 10 points to 744. So theoretically, that means that the 2 hard inquiries that I got for the 2 cards I applied for dropped my score by about 5 points each. But remember that for one, hard inquiries fall off of your report after 2 years, but they stop impacting your credit report much earlier than that. And theoretically, within about 2 months of me just using these cards responsibly, as well as the other credit cards I have in my arsenal, my credit score should rise back up to where it was before and theoretically surpass it. At a bird's eye view though, what we see here is that I applied for 2 brand new credit cards, which only decreased my scores by about 10 points across the board. And again, those scores will recover within a couple of months, and had the chance to get approved for 2 new cards, which could profit me thousands of dollars worth of free travel if I use the points correctly. As long as you're not about to apply for a mortgage or a car loan or something like that, I'd say that's a pretty good trade-off. Okay, so now it's time to get into the actual unboxing of this credit card. So as you can see here, the first thing I want to note is that this did come UPS Express because I actually was able to call them and get the card expedited right after I got approved. That's a little hack for y'all as well if you're somebody that wants to start spending on the card as soon as possible and don't want to wait the 5 to 7 business days or whatever. You can call up Chase and other card lenders too to see if they could actually expedite it for you. And luckily they were able to on this card for me. Let's go ahead and open up this packaging here. And as you can see, I blacked out all my information, already ripped all this stuff off because I don't want to get doxxed here. And off the bat, how do you Discord folks feel about my tape job here? I bet that is really, really annoying y'all, huh? Jokes aside though, let's get into the main envelope here, which contains a lot of information about this card. The first piece of paper, as always, is going to be the actual card itself. But for now, we're going to set that to the side and go into the other details that this envelope had to offer. The first piece of paper here is going to be our business card agreement, rates and fees table. So as always, it's going to tell you some important information about your card, like your purchase annual percentage rate or your APR, which is fixed at 0% for the first 12 months that this account is open. And after that, it goes up to 18.49 for me. As I mentioned in every unboxing, I do not care about annual percentage rates, mainly because I know that I'm going to be paying off my cards on time and in full every month, which means that those rates do not impact me at all. The other things I like to look at on these pages though is going to be your fees in general. So for one here, we have our annual membership fee, which is obviously important to know, and in this case is none. Other than that, we have some transaction fees and penalty fees. The important transaction fee here is probably going to be the foreign transaction one, that being 3% on this card, which means that you don't want to necessarily be using this one abroad. And the penalty fees are all basically going to be $40, but again, if you pay off your cards on time and in full, those don't matter. Next up here, we're going to have Chase's privacy disclosure. This is going to tell you what Chase does with your personal information, the reasons they can share your personal information, and then how to limit their sharing if that's something you want to do. There's also a lot of other information about Chase in general here, including some definitions and other important information, but we don't really care much about this. Then we get into a more fun packet here, or pamphlet, I guess, being the actual benefits of our Chase Inc. Unlimited credit card. As you can see here, unlimited cash back, unlimited business rewards. This just tells us more things to know about this card. I already talked about the unlimited 1.5% back, but in reality, that's about all that this card has to offer. Obviously, it has some liability protections and stuff like that, but that goes with basically every card. Talks about your Chase business online account and all these other things that you can do with the card, but for the most part, I think I've covered the high notes. Then we get into the Chase business card agreement. So obviously a ton of words, a ton of information here that you probably should at least know about if you have never seen one of these before. Of course, I've already unboxed at least one Chase business card on my channel so far, depending on when you're watching this, I guess. But this is not drastically different from a personal card either. One of the only things that might be different, which let me try and find it here, is going to be this section right here about using your card. On the top line here though, sorry if it's a little bit blurry, you can see that it says your account is a business account and should only be used for business transactions and not for personal, family, or household purposes. Now, that is something that a lot of people get really freaked out about. I can tell you that a lot of times your personal and business spend is going to be a little bit wishy-washy, but if you're super risk averse, maybe you would not put any personal purchases on this card, while there are also people out there only putting personal purchases on these cards. I've talked more about my thoughts on that in my video about why everybody should consider business credit cards if you're more interested about that, but for now, I'll leave it at that. Then the last thing besides the card itself here is going to be the guide to benefits. As you can see, it's the Visa Signature Business Guide to Benefits, I guess, specifically. It tells you all about your different kind of insurances and protections, like your auto rental collision damage waiver, baggage delay insurance, extended warranty protection, and more. Obviously, not going to read through this on camera here, but I guess you could if you wanted to offline. And now let's finally get back into the actual fun part of this unboxing. The first thing I want to note here is that my credit access line was only $3,000. And in the Watch Me Apply video, I talked about how that's the same limit that they gave me on my Chase Inc. Cash, and it's really like the lowest limit they offer on these cards. And originally I was like really confused as to why they'd give me the same limit back to back, but then I remembered that this was the first time I've ever applied for a Chase business card under my LLC. So that's probably why they gave me another starter limit compared to seeing my last limit and then maybe giving me a bit of a higher one. Also, I don't really use the Chase Inc. Cash much, so that could play a factor in why I didn't get a very high limit. I do have at least one really high limit business credit card in the Amex Blue Business Plus with a $28,300 credit limit on it. And I was hoping that that would play a factor in my future business credit card applications, but at least for this one, it did not. Also, the Amex Blue Business Plus is under my SSN, my social security number, since I applied as a sole proprietor. So take that in consideration too. But let's go ahead and reveal this card here in 3, 2, 1. There it is. You can kind of see how it shines a little bit in the light there. I do like the little ink logo on it, but I hate the erased numberings that these Chase cards have on them. I don't know why they do this still, but you know, who knows. Before I pull it off, I do want to mention that down here, there's another disclosure saying that this should only be used for business transactions. Then down here, it says the laws and regulations governing business purpose credit are different than those governing consumer purpose credit. Thus, many of the rules that apply to this account are different from the rules that apply to any Chase consumer accounts you may have. So I guess if you wanted to read up more on that before making your decision on applying for this, you could. But for me, this is supposed to be used as a business credit card, so I shouldn't have any issues with that there. Okay, so here's a closer look at the card. As you can see, it is just a darker gray, definitely a darker gray than my Chase Inc. Cash. Let me go grab that real quick. So yeah, here is my Chase Inc. Cash, and you can see it's a much lighter color there. Here's an interesting difference between these two cards now that I'm looking at them. Obviously, the design is exactly the same, but the logo on the bottom right is what's different here. The Chase Inc. Cash is a Visa signature, and the Chase Inc. Unlimited is a Visa signature business. So I wonder wonder if the only reason that this is different is because I applied as an LLC instead of as a sole prop, but that's kind of interesting. I didn't know that there was a difference. Maybe I should go read up on that guide to benefits or whatever. As for the back of the card, same old stuff that we always come to expect from Chase. Of course, I had to tape the backside as well with this pretty janky tape job because the raised numbers also show on the back as well, which is just, again, I don't know why they do it like this still, especially when their designs online don't show any card numbers on the front. But maybe this year will be the year they go to no raised numbering. But yeah, so we have the Chase logo down here, the tap to pay logo, the card numbers that just show through on the back, signature line, CVV, and really nothing too crazy about this card in general. I do like the look of it. I think it's pretty sleek. I just wish they would get rid of these raised numbers, and that would help me to actually be able to keep it in my extra wallet. Because if any of y'all have an extra wallet as well, you'll know that the raised numbers just get so worn out whenever you put them in the wallet. Hence why I'm carrying the Amex Blue Business Plus around with me in person, because it has no raised numbers compared to the Chase Ink Unlimited, which I'll be using for all of my other catch-all purposes with my business credit cards. One other thing I wanted to note about this card and the activation process is that, again, I believe since I applied as an LLC, this card did not automatically show up in my Chase for Business account, even though I already had the Chase Ink cash in there. So I had to call up Chase separately and ask them why that was the case, and they were able to, on their back end, assign this card to my account, so I can now see it across everything, but I could not do that until I called. So now at this point, I have 2 Chase business credit cards, and I guess technically 3 personal Chase credit cards, but I'm not stopping here. I do plan on adding more Chase cards to my setup in the future, but for the Chase Ink Unlimited specifically, I'd recommend that you go ahead and check out this video next if you want to see me apply for this card and see how I was able to get to this point today with this card in my hands. As always, I want to thank you guys for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel, and I'll catch you guys next time.